So let's talk about the Fed hikes that took place this week.
Yeah.
Okay. And for some people, they're like, well, what's the big deal with this? We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So Fed hikes its benchmark interest rates by 0.75 of a point, the biggest increase since 1994. This is a CNBC story. On Wednesday, they launched its biggest broadside yet against inflation, raising benchmark interest rates 0.75 of a percentage point in a move that equates to the most aggressive high since 1994. The rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee took to levels of its benchmark to a range of 1.5 to 1.75. The Fed's benchmark rate will end up at 3.4. That compares with an upward revision of 1.5% point to March estimate. The committee then sees the rate rising to 3.8 in 2023, a full percentage point higher than what it was expected to be in March. Officials also significantly cut their outlook of 2020 economic growth, now anticipating just a 1.7% gain in GDP, down from a 2.8%. So, Adam, you see this. To the average person who sees this, it's like, okay, 0.75. How does that affect me? But to somebody that's been in financial industry for a while, what does this really mean to the average person?
So what I talk about, like, for instance, let's just talk about what the Fed is, right? We're talking about the Fed rate hikes. So at the helm of the Fed is Jerome Powell, chairman of the Fed. He's been there since the Trump administration. Now he's in there. Biden kept him. And then we got Janet Yellen, who is Secretary of the Treasury, and then you got Biden in there. So those are sort of the three-headed monster who's basically controlling the monetary supply right now. What's the purpose of the Fed? So obviously, you know, they control the money supply. We've seen how much money they printed over the past 3 years, right? How many $5 trillion that, you know, just boom right there. So we can touch on that. You had a debate with the godfather of quantitative easing. You're not a fan of that, I assume, right? You don't want quantitative.
I'm not
right.
a fan of bailing out the people at the top and complainers.
100%.
That's not what I'm a fan of. The people at the top are big boys, and the people at the bottom need to be inspired by people in the middle who actually do the day-to-day work to make money, pay the bills, support their husband, their wives, their kids, pay their taxes, send their kids to school, raise their families, become good citizens. America's ran by the people in the middle that are quiet, that don't get a lot of recognition. Those are heroes, and sometimes the guys at the top and the guys at the bottom complain way too much.
The doers, not the complainers.
You know who I mean by the guys at the top? You know what I mean by the guys at the top? I don't mean the doers. No. There is the complainers. There is those in the middle that are just doing the day-to-day job. They don't need the recognition. They just want to go out there and do their part. Okay? Tell me what the guidelines are. I'll go find a job. I'll go get better. I'll go pay my bills. I'll go be a good citizen. There's the creators and the initiators who are at the third level, who are the future. They're the ones that make things happen. They're the ones that make things better. They're the ones that innovate, make technology better, make products better, make systems better, make our lives better. That's third level. And then there's the people at the top who used to do that, and now they haven't for 20 years. And they just keep doing buyback, and they found a way to maintain their wealth at the top, that they're no longer in the creation and in initiation mode, and they're taking money from taxpayers to say, bail me out. Those guys shouldn't be bailed out. Those guys ought to go out of business and let the market decide who's the next future to the country. That's my problem with the guys at the top and the complainers at the bottom.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so the interest rates, go ahead. You were saying about...
Yeah, well, so basically the purpose of the Fed is, stabilize unemployment, stabilize inflation, stabilize economic growth, or obviously it's not stabilized. Hopefully there's, GDP increases. I think they're now predicting it's going from they're predicting 3% down to like 1.8, whatever. But the Fed has a role, okay? So on the macro perspective, this is what the Fed's doing. This is what Jerome Powell's doing. How does that affect everyday people? Okay, so... it's going to affect everyday people in one of two ways. You're either going to want to have lower prices or higher interest rates. Okay, so being a personal finance expert, I talk about the C's of debt. The C's of debt. What are the C's of debt? Credit cards, car loans, and what I call cribs, mortgages. So if like some people, you know what you're doing, you'll go get a mortgage. If you don't know what you're doing and you're just kind of figuring out, it's like, I got to get a crib. So borrowers, people who have debt, people on the lower rung of society, this is not a good look for you. What's happening right now?
That's great.
If you're a saver like me who saved money and is debt-free, this is a very opportune time to capitalize right now. So for instance, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I feel for the American people. I feel like there's been a lot of fake money that's been printed and has been earned over the last few years. An NFT, I just bought it for $300,000 and I'm going to make him now your NFT is worth $30,000. Good luck. If that. Okay, crypto's been cut in half. We all know the GameStop.
Cut in half. It's not cut in half. It's
More than half.
Oh, Ethereum is down 78%.
Okay, so but Bitcoin's been cut in half, or even more. They were at 60 grand. 60%. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give crypto people the benefit of the doubt. Less than half, more than half. But if you've actually do what I talk about, have a budget, maintain cash flow, you understand your income and your expenses, you stay out of debt, you work, you earn, you actually put in the work, you don't just sit home and collect unemployment, you've saved, you've invested, you have your financial house in order. This is a major opportunity to capitalize. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, all right, I haven't bought Bitcoin since 2018. I got in when it was very low, and I haven't bought. I've been looking at the prices. I've been seeing these fucking people who don't do anything and they're just kind of crypto rich, a lot of the Gen Z, and I'm thinking, now I'm going to go probably buy like 5-10 Bitcoin. Boom. All right. At 20 grand a pop. All right, cool. So if you've got your house in order, this is a major buying opportunity. But if not, if you're like most Americans, 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, they're struggling, this is a rough time for you. But you've had 2-3 years to kind of get your shit together. And if you haven't, hey, it's on you. What do they talk about? The K-shaped economy. The rich have gotten richer, the poor are getting poor. To your point, bad policies have what?
Consequences.
Have consequences. So they've printed $5 trillion. If you've taken this time to say, all right, I'm gonna double down on what I do. I'm gonna get better at what I do. I'm gonna save my money. I'm not just gonna go spend it and just like ball out on random crypto NFTs. And I'm actually gonna just figure my stuff out and work and not like take the easy way. Everyone wants to get rich quick these days. Me, I've been saying this for years. For years, people are like, "What do you mean?" I want to get rich slow.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.